Welcome back
to
Tales of Teacher Transformation.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're hoping you'll make a nice cup of tea and join us in a little discussion. And today we're going to be talking about student-centered learning. So, Maxine, you know what? I remembered. We have that teacher meeting next week on SMART objectives on Tuesday next week.
I forgot all about that.
No, I don't. I find that a little boring, don't you?
Yes. It's a training, right?
Yeah, it's a teacher training, and our boss is
right.
making us go. And, you know, I don't really like that, but oh well, it's only for an hour.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, when you go to teacher trainings, what would you like to have? What do you like to see? What would you enjoy at a teacher training?
Well, I like to feel engaged. I want to feel involved with what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like it to be enjoyable or fun. And it definitely has to be relevant for me.
Relevant. So you like engagement, and it should be enjoyable or fun. And the relevant part is really important. Yeah. Well, for me, I agree with everything you said, but I also feel like it has to be practical and it has to be productive. If I go to a training and I learn something that I will never use in my life, I'm like, oh, that was so sad. So anyway.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. So engaged, enjoyable, relevant, and then productive and practical.
Yes. Right? And what would be a worthwhile workshop for you that you would find, or training that you would find practical and maybe productive?
Something I kind of need and would enjoy and find useful. I think for me, it would be something about classroom management. Like, the students are all participating and I can't get them to come back to the main group sometimes. And they're just so busy talking and working in the small groups that I can't get their attention.
Oh, you know what I do for that?
What?
I have a nice little trick.
Really?
I just ring a little bell.
Can I see that?
Yes.
Wow, it's beautiful. Can I borrow that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You can borrow it anytime. But
what about you? Would you like any particular kind of meeting next, instead of the SMART objectives?
What I would really like is helping my students calm down and focus at the beginning of class, especially.
So something to help settle them down and calm down?
Yes.
Okay. Well, bell might work for that too.
That's true. So practical activities that would help my students calm down would be really helpful.
Yeah, and focus, right? Yeah. Well, maybe I can send that into the director and see if she will help us have some more productive meetings. But anyway,
that's a good idea. But so let's just review that for a second. So we said that we would like it to be, I would like to feel engaged, I would like to have fun, and I would like it to be relevant.
And for me, I like all of those things, but also practical and productive. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I would definitely add those as well. So here's a first activity for our teachers today.
Our wonderful genius teachers.
Yes. Miriam, would you share the first?
Sure. I would love it if you can write down 1, 2, or 3 things that you would really need when you go to a teacher training. Like I say, practical and productive. She says engaged, enjoyable, and relevant. What are some things that you need when you go to a teacher training?
Yes.
And what about number 2? Can you share that?
Yes. So what is a topic that you would like to learn about in a future teacher training? So think about a topic that would be helpful for you as a teacher. So go ahead and pause here for a moment and feel free to write these things down.
Don't think too hard, just what comes off the top of your head. That'll be great.
Yes.
Oh, welcome back.
Yes. Nice to have a little tea break.
So I hope you had fun thinking about that. And the reason we've asked you to think about yourself as a teacher, going to a teacher training, or even watching a video, is because it's exactly the same thing for students. For student-centered learning, they have to have the same sorts of things, right?
Right. And these are some of the questions we want to think about when we're planning our lessons for our students and to make the lessons student-centered. So the first question is, what? What do we want to teach them? Is it relevant to the learners? Do they enjoy it? And does it increase motivation?
The next one is the why. And why are we teaching it? Well, do they need to know it? Because it's on the curriculum, it's on the national exam. And why else? Oh, because the students are really interested in that. They want to know it. And what else?
Yes. And then finally, how do we go about teaching it? What instructional techniques and approaches will be practical, enjoyable, relevant, and productive for our students?
Wow, kind of like a teacher meetings.
Huh. Yes, exactly. We want the same things from our supervisors that we want to share with our students.
Wow. Well, so you keep talking about student-centered learning, and it's kind of like us, but you know, we're adults and we're not in the classroom all the time. Can you help me understand more about the student-centered learning thing? What is this student-centered? I know it's kind of a new technique, but sometimes it's confusing. I don't know how to do it sometimes.
Well, you know, we have an illustration on the next slide that I thought might be helpful to get an idea.
I love her slides. They're so good. Oh, I see.
So, for example, teacher-centered learning, teacher-centered teaching, where is the teacher in this classroom, Miriam?
In the front, in front of everybody.
The teacher is in the front. And how are the students sitting in this classroom?
They're all in rows and desks and straight lines.
Yes, and I know when I was growing up, this is the way I was taught. Teacher at the front of the room, talking all the time, and we as students were sitting in rows and desks.
Me too.
Now, what about student-centered learning, Miriam?
Well, according to this diagram, the teacher is acting like a facilitator, and the knowledge and experience is shared in the whole group. They're sharing their knowledge and experience, but there's also, look, I see small groups of 2 and 3 and 1. Some people are doing the think, some people are doing the pair, some people are doing the share, and they can all use their experience together. So the communication that they do is going to be relevant and I hope practical and enjoyable.
Yes. And I also love here that it says about students in both individually and also collaborating. So they work sometimes individually and sometimes in small groups.
I'm so excited. You know what this reminds me of?
What?
There was a saying I used to know that I didn't think about this week until today. And the saying is, don't be a sage on the stage, be a guide at the side.
Oh, I love that.
Don't be a sage on the stage, be a guide on the side.
And I think that's a big difference, because in student-centered learning, it's the teacher as the facilitator to help students learn and succeed. So let's look at that picture again for a moment. What is so special about this student-centered learning picture? What are some things you notice, Miriam?
Well, they're involved in making something and they're all working together. So I am sure they had to discuss quite a bit. I can't tell what their project is, but look, everyone's in small groups and everybody is paying attention. Nobody is board.
Yes, and all three in this small group are involved in the activity. And that is the idea. We want student engagement and participation and interest, and that they're enjoying what they're doing.
I do have a question though. Isn't student-centered learning more difficult to manage?
Again, it really turns into changing the role of the teacher. So
Right.
the management is different. In a way, the students are all managing themselves because they're involved and they're taking responsibility for their activity. So
Right.
the teacher's role is that of facilitator and helper.
So what you're saying is if the students are all engaged, they're not going to be naughty, they're not going to be noisy, and they're going to be paying attention because they enjoy learning.
Yes, exactly.
Wow, I love that. Huh.
That
Okay.
is the beauty of student-centered learning.
That's really great.
Yes.
Well, we talked in the last couple of videos about TPR. Remember that TPR?
I remember TPR, total physical response.
And then we talked about brain-based learning. And you remember we have the two hemispheres of our brain. And here is a little bit of research why whole brain learning for language learning is so important for children, and why using all the brain and body techniques that we're talking about and we'll be talking about in the next few videos also is so great. So over here, we have the left side of the brain. On the top row, we have the left side of the brain. On the bottom of the slide, we have the right side of the brain. And then this, along these numbers on top, these are the ages of the students that they studied when they were processing language. So you can see when they're under 5 years old, they're using their right and their left hemispheres a lot. And same thing for 8-year-olds, starts to get a little smaller in the right side. 11-year-olds, there's more activity in the left, but still quite a bit in the right. But by the time they're 20 years old, they have moved all of their language processing to one side of their brain. So we sometimes as adults, because the left side is for what? Linear, logical language tasks, we sometimes forget how much in their whole brain little children are. So it's a really good idea to help them by thinking about what they need, not what we need. We have adult brains, but how they learn.
And also, the interesting thing for me about this far right piece when we're 19 years old and older is that we stop using our right brain. And I think that's important for us to remember, to integrate whole brain learning for all ages.
So we stop using our brain for language learning,
Yes,
you say, yeah,
yes.
but not for other things like
Right.
art or music or poetry, yeah.
Yes, exactly. For language learning, it's still so much engaging and interactive when we use our whole brain when we're learning languages and not just focusing on the left linear logical side.
But you know what else? I feel that if you're teaching elementary students, you're very lucky because you can use all these wonderful techniques to help children love language and love learning languages. So let's go ahead and think about some more of that, shall we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we have a video for you, and we're going to let you watch that on your own timing. But what we would like you to do is watch the video. Now, what was your opinion of the video?
I thought it had a lot of helpful information. I liked the helpful information. I thought there were a lot of images on the screen, so I didn't like that much. But I was curious to find out more about setting up a classroom for student-centered learning.
Okay, and when I saw the video, I liked that it had pictures and words so that I could, both halves of my brain were very happy. And I didn't like that he spoke too fast. And I really want to learn more about the part on assessment at the end, because that was a lot of information and there's a lot of great information. So those are my three things. So my plus, my minus, and my question.
Okay.
So that's what your task is to watch the video and then write down what did you like, what didn't you like, and what would you like more information about.
Perfect. So here we go. We're going to start the video. And on the following slide, you will get the URL for the YouTube if you want to watch it on YouTube. I squeaked on YouTube. YouTube. Okay.
YouTube.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Teachings and Education, Student-Centered Learning. This is an instructional approach that places the focus on the students instead of the teacher. So let's begin with the overall goal of student-centered learning. Its mission is to create both independent and responsible learners for the future. Now, there are many positive benefits to using a student-centered classroom model. Research has shown that students learn how to express themselves and articulate their individual ideas. Teachers enjoy using this model because students are engaged in their work and on task. Students are constantly working. That students utilize higher order thinking skills through the inquiry-based learning and problem-solving activities. Also, students get to work at their own pace. Remember, it's the students that drive the lesson, not the teacher. Overall, students learn skills that are transferable and will help them adapt to life in the 21st century workplace. Now, I'll ask, what does a student-centered classroom look like? As school administrators roam the room, they should see students working on assignments as the teacher facilitates. Students are allowed to explore their interests. You may see a student performing an experiment on one of their favorite chemistry topics. Students should be working together as a group and building upon each other's knowledge. Cooperative learning frequently takes place in the classroom. The student and teacher should be working hand in hand to achieve mutual learning goals. Here, it is really a partnership in learning between the teacher and the student. Examples of student work should be found in the classroom. Students' projects are placed around the room, posters are hung on the wall, writing samples are there as well. Students are comfortable using technology in the classroom. Technology is used to help students solve problems, just like in real-world situations. A student-centered classroom is not a quiet place. Students should be debating ideas with one another. Students are given a voice and feel empowered. Teachers do this by providing their students with choice in their assignments. Now, let's finish up with some tips for the classroom. First off, try to teach, quote, big ideas to your students. Allow the students to discover the details of these big ideas for themselves. Teachers should give students a chance to evaluate their own learning. Student reflections can be a part of a teacher's grading and assessments. Performance-based assessments and authentic assessments are also an integral component. These type of assessments are what we expect students to see in a real-world workplace environment. Teachers need to be constantly moving around the room as opposed to sitting at their desks. As a teacher wanders, they formatively assess students in a friendly way. Teachers can ask questions without grading students. Right now, I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel. And lastly, you can download resources in the description link below. And please follow.
All right, and here is the YouTube video if you're interested in spending more time with it.
And there are some other interesting resources for you to look at about student-centered learning if you have more questions about that.
Yes. You know, one thing I noticed in that video that I also liked was when they talked about students reflecting in the process also. So we've spoken about reflective teaching, but now we're talking about student reflective learning. And that's also an important thing to remember.
Right, and even that reflective learning can be part of their formative assessment. We'll be talking about assessment in the future, but that's a very interesting topic.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Okay, great.
So we're looking forward to our next video with you. And for now,
I'm going to go eat my mango.
Oh, yay.
Yay.
You love mangoes.
I love mangoes. Thank you for the mango, Maxine. Anyway, we really enjoyed being with you today. I hope your tea was as delicious as mine was. It was very nice.
Yes.
And thank you.
And
Happy teaching and happy learning.
Bye.
Bye-bye.